Welcome in, guys. Welcome to the Marshall Experience. Appreciate y'all being here tonight. Tonight's Tuesday, so we're covering fantasy football in general. And tonight we're going to be focusing on the fantasy quarterback tiers. Okay, so there are levels to this. Okay, there are a few quarterbacks that are considered the top tier. There's middle tier, and then there's lower tier. Now we have specified my terms of the tiers, and we're going to have a little bit of fun with it. But hey, stick around, and we're going to go over some quarterbacks tonight. And we can't be more excited to get more into this fantasy season. Before we get started, we're going to talk about our sponsors and who we're powered by. And of course, we are powered by the Sports Lounge Media. Guys, if you have not already, go check them out. We are doing big things over here at Sports Lounge Media. Go check us out on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. You name it, just type in Sports Lounge Media, and you are going to be a part of a journey that you are going to want to be a part of. And of course, our sponsor, the Mogul brand, we love what they're doing over there in their products, and go check out them as well. That's about it. So right now we're gonna we're gonna go start get right off and roll right into where we're gonna start tonight. Again, basically what we're going to do tonight is we're breaking down fantasy football rankings into tiers, which help fantasy managers better understand what separates each group and how to value each player in that group in this coming season, right? Okay, so that's what the tiers do. They separate the talent levels, okay? Tier one, we're going to call the quarterback cheat codes. Okay, these are the top four quarterbacks that are going to get you the most amount of points consistently during the week. Number one, Lamar Jackson. Okay, QB1 last year. I don't think that he is going to slow down at any point in year 8. It's no secret that an elite rushing quarterback, guys. This is where we're going to get with this group. You're going to notice a trend. It's no secret that an elite rushing quarterback offers significant upside for fantasy purposes. As the majority of the top 5 finishers each year offer above average rushing ability. That's just a fact. Okay, you can look that up. Heading into 2025, these 4 right now that I'm about to name are the clear top options in rushing potential and have a history of top 5 fantasy finishes in their career. They have been here before. Consistency. Go back to that Cuddy system, right? Lamar Jackson just finished like I just said, as the overall QB1 in 2024 by a significant margin. Where if he didn't return to his career high, 93 passing grade, he'd still likely push for the overall QB1 in fantasy. I mean, he's a fantasy monster, guys. Lamar Jackson is the fantasy guy. Jackson's 41 passing touchdowns were also a career high last year, though he's shown the ability to fight the end zone through the air. 36 touchdowns before passing 36 touchdowns in 2019. He's also come with some expected positive regression in that regard in the seasons in between. Jackson ran the ball 7 times per game last season. Again, rushing yards in fantasy for the QBs is huge. 7 times per game as an elite rate. Found the end zone as a runner just 4 times. Despite posting the second most rushing yards, which was 852 for the position on the year. Okay, so I think Jalen had him last year. I think there's even a little bit of room for improvement there, even with Derrick Henry in the lineup. Next player, we're going to talk about Jayden Daniels at 2. Jayden Daniels immediately established himself as a threat to Jackson's running throne in his rookie season. He surpassed Jackson in rushing yard at 864, runs per game, which at 8 to 7. All league leading marks. Not only did Daniels thrive as a runner, but he earned a top 5 mark in PFF passing grade as a rookie, which is naturally going to contribute for high expectations heading into year 2, right? I mean, the guy can't slow down. That's for sure. If he delivers on those expectations, it would make him worthy of being in conversation of QB1 rankings. Okay. Number 3 and 4, we're going to talk about in the same group here. Both Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts. I have Josh Allen at 3 and Jalen Hurts at 4. They're no strangers to the top tier ranking. Okay. Allen has finished no lower than QB2 every year since 2020. Hurts has ranked as the QB 3, 2, and 6 over the past 3 years. Allen is arguably the most deserving of being ranked as probably overall QB1 right now, right? MVP. Though he offers the least amount of rushing upside in this group. Now, despite coming up with the second most rushing fantasy points last season, because he had 12 rushing touchdowns. Those touchdowns obviously count, guys. Those are the mass points, right? Do I think that he runs for 12 touchdowns again? No, I think that's going to regress. That's where I'm leading with that. With Daniels potentially improving in year 2, while displaying more rushing potential, right? More of that Lamarness. I think that pushed Allen and Hurts down a little bit. But I think that rounds out the top 4. I think, Josh Allen, Lamar, 1, 2. Jaden's going to slide in there. He has a conversation to be QB1. All 4 of these guys have a conversation to be QB1 next year. They are in the QB cheat codes tier. Okay? Next tier, we're going to talk about tier 2. Tier 2. Variety is the spice of life. Okay? Variety is the spice of life. It's a little motto of me for fantasy. And what I mean by that, variety is passing and rushing. You get both. Okay, you get a little bit of both. A little bit of variety. Okay. Now, these quarterbacks are more adept and more stronger in certain categories, as you'll see a trend, but they still do a variety. Okay, you have 30, 40 rushing yards, not compared to 70 or 80 from the top 4 that we just talked about, right? It's not the main streamline of their game, but they can still move with their feet, right? Okay. Outside of the top 4 quarterbacks, we got a good mixture right here of high-end passers and those with above average rushing yards. Rushing upside, I should say. Rushing upside, like I just said. So, depending on which style fantasy drafters, depending on which style that you prefer to go with, these are some of the names that are going to be on the board that have enough variety to be a top 5 quarterback. Okay? We're going to talk about players like Joe Burrow, Patty Mahomes, Baker Mayfield, Kyler Murray, Brock Purdy, Bo Nix, and Justin Fields to round out the top 11. Okay? We're going to go over a couple of these players, right? I've written down paragraphs. I've done this for about 2 weeks worth of study. Okay, so we're going to go down each player here. This past season was a down year for Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers as a whole, right? Big down year. A lot of it was to injury. So a big part of this ranking is projecting a bounce back year for the 49ers and their franchise quarterback, right? After signing a top 10 contract for the position this offseason, he's got to perform now. You are getting paid to perform a top 10 quarterback. You better be performing like it, right? Purdy is just 1 year removed from finishing as the overall QB6 for fantasy after throwing for over 4,000 yards and 31 touchdowns. This ranking isn't really optimistic as it was for 2025, but it's expected to be better than 2024, right? When his efficiency and accuracy dropped off at the end of the season. I think that this is a bounce back year. You got your money, you got your bag. It's time to perform, right? I think helping Purdy's case is that he flashed more rushing upside than he ever has last season. He ran about 4 times a game and delivered 4.2 rushing fantasy points per game. So it would amount to about 40 yards, 42 yards. Okay. This ranks only behind Kyler Murray and Justin Fields in points per game rushing. Interesting. Fields also has to get back into that top 10 category, right? Fields is a dual quarterback. He's not as strong passing as he is with his feet, but we've seen glimpses of his arm, right? He has to get back into that conversation. He has been, in the past, thanks to his high-end rushing ability, really, right? While Fields hasn't quite been the passing threat that most teams would want from their starting quarterbacks, Fields is still locked in with the Jets this season, QB1. There is no competition, right? As long as that is the case, I think that he can have a top 10 fantasy season. Even on limited starts, on a more conservative offensive last season with the Steelers, Fields ran the ball 5 times per game, which ranked 8th in the position. Thanks to how well he does with those attempts, he ranked 4th among all quarterbacks in fantasy points per dropback, only behind Jackson, Hurts, and Allen. That's interesting. That's a point. So when Fields is on the field, he's a top 4 quarterback. He is producing the 4th most fantasy points per game. Just saying. This next tier, we're going to talk about tier 3. The best of the non-obvious QB1s. Okay, so when we say QB1s, we mean the starters. Okay, the best of the obvious QB1s. We're going to talk about players like top 12 through 18, Jared Goff, Caleb Williams, Drake May. You're going to see a lot of young names in here. A lot of sophomore seasons. It's going to make it or break it, baby. CJ Stroud, you just seen, had a slump of a sophomore season. That happens. It happens to the best of them. Can these guys bounce back after their rookie years? CJ Stroud at 15, Justin Herbert at 16, Dak Prescott at 17, and Jordan Love at 18. The quarterback position is arguably in a good place, as in a good of a place, as it has ever been in fantasy, right? I think that the top 12 options are all strong. I think there's a movement of youth, right? Drake May, Caleb Williams, Bo Nix, right? We've already talked about a few of those, but there is this movement of youth that makes dynasty owners like myself so excited to own one, because you know for the next 10 years you have consistency. It's nice to hit that pick, right? Jared Goff is coming off of 3 straight seasons over 4,000 yards and 2 straight seasons with at least 30 passing touchdowns. This is production, guys. When considering the Detroit Lions are one of the more run-heavy offenses in the league, that is an impressive accomplishment for Goff. He has been a top 12 quarterback in each of the past 3 seasons and deserves to be in the conversation yet again. Why not? He just did it the past 3. Now, without Ben Johnson running the offense this season, the expectation for Goff drops a bit, perhaps, which will hopefully transfer over to Caleb Williams, is who we'll talk about next. But I don't think we're quite there yet. Even if Williams' ranking is optimistic after a disappointing rookie season, I think he's really set to thrive in 2025. I think with the new head coach, with the new year two, with the chemistry of the team, I think Caleb Williams is going to have a very strong fantasy season. Drake May comes with a nice value here in this tier, as he's often going a little after QB 14 in drafts. Okay, QB 14, so he's going 15th, 16th, 15th quarterback. He's one of the better bets to deliver a top 12 fantasy season going in that range, to be honest. May offers solid rushing upside based on what we saw from him in college and his rookie year in New England. He's averaged 4.5 runs per game last year, which ranked only behind Jaden Daniels among quarterbacks with at least 100 dropbacks. May's offensive situation should also get you better in year two with a new coaching staff, right? Improved receiving core with Stephon Diggs, Kyle Williams they drafted. There's a better room for May to have a much better season than his QB 21 last year. Okay, guys, he had a QB 21 finish last year, and he started at week 6. He missed 6 weeks. He's gonna have a top 15, top 12 performance this year. The next tier we're going to talk about. This tier is called the Superflex Starters. Now, if you are in a Superflex league, this is this little SQ down there, that little symbol, Superflex, SF, SQ, whatever you want to call it. It is where you can put a quarterback, a running back, a wide receiver. You can put anything in there, right? So this is basically 2 quarterback leagues. Quarterback, Superflex, right? Superflex starters. So these are quarterbacks that I would not start as my QB1, but I would start as the Superflex. Names like Trevor Lawrence, J.J. McCarthy, Tua Tagovailoa, Michael Penix Jr., Matthew Stafford, Bryce Young, Sam Darnold, Cam Ward, and Geno Smith. Okay? Now, this tier offers the starting NFL quarterbacks who really don't have any questions surrounding their starting ability, right? These are the starters for their teams. It keeps them as viable depth options for fantasy and likely starters in most Superflex formats, right? J.J. McCarthy is one of the more intriguing fantasy options, perhaps, heading into this season. He is essentially a rookie in the NFL after missing the entire 2024 season. However, he steps into a prime spot for passing potential in the quarterback guru, Kevin O'Connell, that offers now Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and Aaron Jones. This same offense that allowed Sam Darnold to deliver 20 fantasy points per game last season, finishing as a QB7. Obviously, we know the Sam Darnold situation. He's destined to be a backup. I mean, he had a stellar year, earned himself a 3-year contract in Seattle off the same offense that J.J. McCarthy, who is arguably maybe a better quarterback coming into the same system, who's had a year to learn it. You know, so J.J. McCarthy is definitely interesting. Darnold, speaking of, meanwhile, joins his 5th new team since entering the league, though he is coming off his best season, earning a top 10 overall PFF grade and passing grade in the regular season. He also resulted in a top 10 fantasy finish in 2024, though new challenges are likely to emerge with this new offense, right? Darnold's final 2 games, week 18 in the wild card round, we really saw what the true colors were, okay? They were not anywhere close to the level of performance that he had displayed all season. So on top of joining a new offense, there's concern that he regresses, right? How does he snap back into this Sam Darnold that was MVP material? This 2024 season as a whole was encouraging enough for me, as long as with the new contract, which will keep him as a season-long starter in a super flex starting territory as well, right? So the 3-year contract puts him in position to add depth the next couple of years. Tier 5. Okay, we're going to talk about 6 quarterbacks here. Starters with question marks. Starters with question marks. Aaron Rodgers at 28. Anthony Richardson at 29. Russell Wilson at 30. Joe Flacco at 31. Tyler Show at 32 for New Orleans. And 33, Daniel Jones for Indianapolis. Indianapolis has 2 quarterbacks on this in this tier because I'm not quite sure what they're doing. They flip-flop between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson being the leader. So I'm going to have to get a final word to be able to say which one ranks over the other. But this final tier really represents the final group of expected NFL starters who have a shot to be fantasy relevant, right? Obviously, Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones will be the starter. You got Aaron Rodgers, who's the starter in Pittsburgh. Russell Wilson possibly could be the starter for the Giants. Joe Flacco is leading. Maybe it's Sanders week 1. We don't know, right? These are all the questions. Anthony Richardson's fantasy upside is undeniable, right, due to his elite rushing. However, he's dealt with numerous injuries, poor play, getting benched, hurt again. And again, Daniel Jones may very well start the season for the Colts. On the chance that Richardson does get the starting job, he offers enough value for fantasy that he comes out ahead of Jones in the rankings, I believe, with the rushing ability, right? But there's still concern of him being on a short enough leash that he might not be the starter for the entire season anyway, right? Because these guys might flip-flop. For that reason, it's very difficult to believe in Richardson enough, even with that upside, for him to crack top 24. I don't believe in either of them. So I would avoid just avoid it. You know what I mean? Get your guys before you got to draft the Indianapolis Colts quarterbacks, please. Tier 6. So you're saying there's a chance. That's what I named this tier. So they're saying there's a chance. Players like Joe Milton. Now, this is for Dynasty, guys. Think about this. This is Dynasty. This is league. This is years upon years. So these are young players that we keep. May work out, right? Joe Milton, 34. Jalen Milroe for Seattle, 35. That's an interesting one because of Sam Darnold, right? Sam Darnold starts regressing. They've said that Jalen Milroe looks really good in Seattle. Joe Milton out of Dallas because of Dak's contract situation. What if Dak can't get the job done again this year? Do they go to the young kid? You know, there's so many questions. Jameis Winston, who's a backup. Jackson Dart, backup. Shadur Sanders could start week 1. Kirk Cousins, maybe he gets traded. And Kenny Pickett for Cleveland. I threw Kenny Pickett in there just because we don't know what Cleveland's quarterback situation is, right? This is the final tier of quarterbacks is ordered by fantasy potential if they were to somehow take over a starting role at some point this season. So say Joe Milton were to take over for Dak or Jalen Milroe for Sam Darnold. They would be their upside. I believe that their upside would be more than Jameis Winston, Jackson Dart, Kirk Cousins, blah, blah, blah. The people we just talked about, right? Joe Milton's one game in 2024 where he delivered 21 fantasy points on the back of a rushing touchdown to go along with 241 passing yards and a passing touchdown, encouraging enough for me to let him top this list, right? There's a small sample size, but outside of the top 200 in ADP, which is that average draft position, right? That matters very little when it comes to what kind of output being within his range of outcomes. Okay, so you're saying there's a chance. Get how I'm naming these tiers now. So guys. These are some quarterbacks that I would keep my eye on. Quarterback is a very, very, very important position. It is the position that is going to make you score the most points, right? It is the catalyst that makes your team. Okay, again, please, for the love of God, get your guys before you have to draft a Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson or a Joe Flacco, and then you're back in a hole somewhere down the season, right? Set yourself up for success. Okay, use the information that is given to you. All we're trying to do here is produce great content, and if you follow it, I can't guarantee anything, but I can make a pretty good promise that it's going to improve your chances. Okay. Again, we always take suggestions here at the Marshall Experience. If you guys comment on the videos or anything like that, suggestion boxes are open. Topics, anything like that. If you guys have any questions, we are always taking Q&A questions, and we will answer them on the next live. But again, I appreciate you guys tuning in every week, and this has been fun. But again, we look forward to this every Tuesday. We'll see you guys again this next Thursday. Yeah, fantasy season is upon us. Drafts are happening. Mock drafts are happening. Okay, take advantage of those mock drafts. Those mock drafts are huge to take advantage of. It's basically practice drafts that you can take advantage of and really set yourself up for success to see how everything correlates and everything falls. So, again, guys, we appreciate everybody tuning in, and I